Donald Trump just revealed something shocking, but most people missed it. Did you? Hidden within his words lies a message that only those who are truly awake will understand. The powerful forces that operate behind the scenes have spent years trying to keep this knowledge from the public. But now, the truth is coming to light, and if you are watching this, it means you were meant to hear it. Donald Trump has always been a polarizing figure, but beneath the controversies and headlines, there have been moments where he has said things that made even his strongest critics pause. Throughout his presidency and beyond, he has made statements about secret elites, hidden knowledge, and forces that shape the world from behind the curtain. Most dismiss his words as political rhetoric, but what if he is revealing something much deeper? What if his words were not just political statements, but coded messages directed at those who are truly awake? For years, we've been told that only conspiracy theorists believe in secret global rulers, in hidden truths that have been kept from the masses. But history has shown us time and time again that the most powerful forces operate in secrecy. What if Trump, knowingly or unknowingly, is pulling back the veil? What if he has said something that confirms what the chosen ones have always suspected, that there is more happening behind the scenes than the world is allowed to know? This is not about politics. This is about truth. And the truth has been buried for centuries. Today, we're going to uncover what Trump really knows, how his words connect to suppressed spiritual knowledge, and why certain messages are being erased from history. Stay with me until the end, because this information will change the way you see everything. If this message resonates with you, comment 77 below to confirm that you are awake. Now let's dive in. What Trump has said about the world's hidden rulers. Throughout his career, Donald Trump has made repeated references to a hidden power structure operating beyond the public eye. A force he has called the deep state, a network of elites who function outside of democratic oversight. He has spoken in cryptic but deliberate terms about forces you wouldn't believe, about very bad people orchestrating global events from the shadows. To the average listener, these statements might seem like political rhetoric exaggerations meant to stir his base. But to those who have studied history, esoteric wisdom, and the manipulation of spiritual truths, these words strike a deeper chord. He is not merely pointing at corrupt politicians or flawed systems. He is, perhaps knowingly or unknowingly, exposing a hidden reality that has existed for millennia. For centuries, secret societies, ancient orders, and financial elites have controlled the world's major institutions. Not just governments, but media, banking systems, and even organized religion. They have understood a fundamental truth that many have yet to grasp. Knowledge is power. The greatest form of control is not the rule of law or military might, but the ability to dictate reality itself, to shape what people believe, what they think is possible, and what they fear questioning. When you control the narrative, you control perception. And when you control perception, you control the people. This is why Trump's words, whether intentional or not, carry such weight. He is pointing towards something far greater than political corruption. He is hinting at a system that has been carefully engineered to keep the masses asleep. His references to a rigged system, to fake news, to forces working against the people, all suggest an awareness, perhaps partial, perhaps more profound than he lets on, that something is deeply wrong with the world as we know it. Those who dismiss his statements as mere political theater fail to recognize a pattern that stretches across history. Leaders, prophets, and whistleblowers who have attempted to expose hidden rulers have always faced resistance. Their words have been discredited, their reputations destroyed, their warnings ridiculed. This is nothing new. The Roman Empire sought to suppress early Christian teachings that threatened its authority. The medieval church banned texts that spoke of personal divine revelation outside of institutional control. The rulers of ancient civilizations hoarded esoteric knowledge while giving the masses only enough information to keep them obedient. The tactics have changed, but the strategy remains the same. Keep the truth hidden, keep the people divided, and above all, keep them from realizing the power they hold within. This is why Trump's statements have been met with such relentless opposition. He is not a traditional politician, nor is he a spiritual teacher, but his words disrupt the carefully curated illusion that the world's elites have worked so hard to maintain. He names the enemy even if in vague terms. He points to the shadows, forcing people to look where they were never supposed to look. And this is why the media, controlled by those same hidden forces, work so hard to discredit him. The real battle is not left versus right, conservative versus liberal. It is about keeping people trapped in the illusion that they are free when in reality, they are being manipulated at every turn. The Bible speaks clearly of this hidden rulership. In Ephesians 6 verse 12, it states, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." This verse reveals a crucial truth. Those invisible positions of power are not the true rulers. The real control lies with those who operate behind the scenes, those who use deception rather than direct confrontation to maintain dominance. They do not need to wield swords when they can wield lies. They do not need to force submission when they can engineer consent. Trump's repeated insistence that there are forces beyond what you can imagine controlling the world aligns with this ancient warning. He speaks of enemies that work in secret, that manipulate from the shadows, that ensure certain information never reaches the public. His statements, often dismissed by mainstream analysts, echo the understanding that many spiritual traditions have held for centuries. There is a hidden war being waged, not just for control of nations, but for control of souls. What does this mean for you? If you have ever felt that something was off about the way the world operates, if you have sensed that the mainstream narrative does not add up, you are not alone. If you have felt like there is an unseen force working against truth, against awakening, against human potential, then you are beginning to see beyond the illusion. This is not paranoia, it is awareness. The fact that certain topics are forbidden, that certain books have been erased, that certain voices are silenced, should tell you everything you need to know. The ones who control the information do not fear lies. They fear truth. But the truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how deeply it is buried. And once it is seen, it cannot be unseen. This is why those who awaken to this knowledge often find themselves facing resistance. Friends and family may dismiss you. The world may try to pull you back into complacency. But that is because they fear what you represent. An individual who is no longer asleep, no longer blindly accepting what is presented, no longer bound by the false narratives that have kept humanity enslaved for so long. Trump's words may not provide all the answers, but they serve as a signpost. They point to something bigger than one man, bigger than one administration, bigger than politics itself. They serve as an invitation to look deeper, to ask the questions you were never supposed to ask. Who truly runs this world? Why has history been rewritten so many times? What knowledge has been hidden, and who benefits from keeping it that way? These are the questions that lead to awakening. This is why his statements are ridiculed, why they are twisted, why they are attacked with such intensity. Not because they are meaningless, but because they strike too close to the truth. The real rulers of this world do not want people to start looking behind the curtain. They do not want the illusion to be shattered. Because once enough people awaken, the game is over. If you are beginning to see beyond the illusion, if you feel the stirring of something deeper, know that you are not alone. The fact that you are hearing this message means that you are already on the path to something greater. The knowledge that has been hidden is being restored. The deception that has ruled for centuries is losing its grip. And those who were meant to awaken will awaken, no matter how hard they try to stop it. Comment "awaken" if you see beyond the illusion. How his words align with suppressed spiritual knowledge. Hidden wisdom has always been a threat to those in power. For as long as history has been recorded, there have been forces working tirelessly to obscure the truth from humanity. They do this not by outright denying its existence, but by distorting it, fragmenting it, and burying it beneath layers of dogma, distraction, and deception. The greatest deception of all has been the lie that human beings are powerless, that they are mere vessels waiting for external salvation. But the suppressed spiritual knowledge, the Gnostic texts, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and countless other ancient writings tell a different story. They reveal that every individual carries a divine spark, that within each soul lies the potential to rise above the limitations imposed by the material world. Trump has often spoken of forces working against the people, of a deception that has been carried out for centuries. Some have dismissed these claims as political maneuvering, as attempts to stir controversy. But what if these statements align with something far older than modern politics? What if the battle he alludes to is not just about corruption in government, but about a much deeper, much older struggle between truth and deception, between divine knowledge and forced ignorance? The Essenes, an ancient Jewish sect that existed during the time of Christ, believed in a cosmic battle between light and darkness. They were not just philosophers. They were mystics, seekers of hidden knowledge who understood that the world was under the control of those who sought to keep humanity in spiritual blindness. They spoke of rulers who operated from the shadows, of institutions designed not to liberate but to suppress, of a carefully crafted illusion meant to keep people from seeing their own divine nature. These teachings, long erased from mainstream religious narratives, bear striking similarities to what Trump has hinted at, the presence of an unseen hand guiding the affairs of the world, ensuring that knowledge remains the privilege of the few while the masses are fed distractions. If knowledge is power, then ignorance is control. The rulers of this world have always understood this. It is why certain texts have been removed from sacred scriptures. It is why history has been rewritten to serve the needs of those in control. The deeper truth is that the human spirit, when fully awakened, cannot be controlled, cannot be ruled by fear, by manipulation, by deception. And this is precisely why spiritual truths have been buried, distorted, and outlawed, because those in power have always feared what would happen if humanity discovered its true nature. Trump's words may not be those of a traditional spiritual teacher, but the themes he touches on mirror those found in suppressed spiritual texts. His references to a rigged system, to a network of hidden rulers, to the ways in which people have been lied to for centuries, all point toward a greater revelation, one that extends beyond politics and into the very nature of human existence. When you begin to see the patterns, when you begin to recognize the connections, everything changes. The world no longer looks the same. You realize that the narratives you were given about history, about religion, about your own purpose were designed not to enlighten but to limit. You see how the suppression of ancient knowledge was never about protecting people from false teachings but about keeping them from the truth that would set them free. This suppression has taken many forms. The Gnostic texts, which described a divine reality beyond the physical world, were labeled heretical and destroyed. The teachings of early mystics, who spoke of personal revelation and direct communion with the divine, were erased or twisted into rigid doctrines that emphasized obedience rather than enlightenment. Even today, those who speak too openly about hidden truths find themselves silenced, ridiculed, or erased from public discourse. The method has remained the same across centuries. Control the narrative and you control the people. But the time of deception is coming to an end. More people than ever are beginning to question the official story. They are seeing the cracks in the illusion, recognizing that what they were told to believe does not align with what their souls know to be true. And this is precisely why the forces that have long controlled information are fighting harder than ever to maintain their grip. The more people awaken, the weaker their control becomes. Trump's words, whether by design or intuition, have served as a catalyst for this awakening. By openly challenging the hidden rulers, by exposing the fact that we have been lied to on an unimaginable scale, he has forced people to start questioning, to start looking deeper. And once the search for truth begins, it cannot be stopped. What does this mean for you? It means that you have a choice. You can continue to live under the illusion that the world as it is presented to you is all there is, or you can take the step that so many before you have taken, the step into true awareness. This is not about politics, nor is it about blindly following any leader. It is about recognizing that you were never meant to be powerless. You were never meant to be kept in ignorance. You were always meant to seek, to question, to discover the truth that has been hidden in plain sight. The deception was never just about control. It was about keeping you from realizing that you were born free. That freedom begins not with rebellion against external authorities, but with the breaking of mental and spiritual chains. The real battle is not fought with weapons or laws. It is fought in the mind, in the heart, in the willingness to see beyond the veil. And so the question is, will you see? Will you allow yourself to recognize the deception for what it is? Because once you do, there is no going back. The world will never look the same. You will see the patterns in history, the manipulations in media, the distortions in religious teachings, and you will understand why they were put in place. And when you see it, when you truly understand it, you will be free in a way that few ever are. But freedom comes with responsibility. The truth is not just something to be known. It is something to be lived. It requires action, transformation, and the willingness to step into the unknown. Those who have ruled through deception will do everything in their power to keep you from taking that step. They will use fear, ridicule, and even those closest to you to pull you back into complacency. But once the seed of truth has been planted in your soul, it will grow. You are standing at the edge of something vast and unimaginable. You are at the threshold of knowledge that has been denied to countless generations before you. The choice is yours. Stay in the comfort of illusion, or step into the brilliance of awakening. Comment, "I see the truth," if you recognize the deception. We are only scratching the surface of this revelation. What happens when messages are deliberately erased from history? Why do certain voices disappear from mainstream conversations? And what does this mean for your spiritual journey? Before we continue, take a moment to support this channel. If you want more truth like this, consider sending a super thanks to help us keep bringing these messages forward. Why certain speeches and messages disappear from the media? We live in an age where information is at our fingertips, yet never before has it been so carefully curated, controlled, and manipulated. We are told we have access to all the knowledge we need, but the truth is that much of what we see is filtered, rewritten, or erased entirely. It happens so seamlessly that most people don't even notice. One day, a speech is widely available. The next, it has been scrubbed from every platform, as if it never existed. A book that once contained uncomfortable truths is suddenly re-released with different wording. Its original message diluted beyond recognition. A news article contradicting the official narrative is quietly removed, replaced with something more palatable to those who dictate what the world is allowed to believe. This isn't a recent development. The erasure of knowledge has been happening for centuries. The Roman Empire understood that controlling information was more powerful than controlling armies. When faced with teachings that challenged its authority, Rome systematically destroyed spiritual texts, erased historical records, and rewrote religious doctrine to serve its own interests. The Vatican followed suit, hoarding countless manuscripts, scriptures, and records, knowledge that could transform the way humanity sees itself and its place in the cosmos. Instead of making this information available to the people, it has been locked away, accessible only to a select few. What is so dangerous about these texts that they must be hidden? What truths do they contain that would unravel the illusion the world has been given? The digital age was supposed to set us free. The internet was supposed to be a place where information flowed without restriction, where people could share ideas without interference. But what has happened instead? Censorship is more powerful than ever, disguised as protection against misinformation or harmful content. Videos exposing hidden truths are taken down under the guise of maintaining community guidelines. Speeches that challenge the official narrative mysteriously vanish. Alternative perspectives are labeled dangerous, while those who dare to ask questions are silenced, deplatformed, or discredited. Donald Trump's words have often been the target of such erasure. Regardless of how people feel about him politically, it is undeniable that certain things he has said have struck a nerve with the hidden rulers of this world. When he speaks about a deep state, about forces working behind the scenes to control global events, about powerful elites who do not answer to the people, his words do not simply spark political debate. They trigger an immediate, coordinated effort to suppress, ridicule, and erase. Why? Because when someone with a platform as large as his begins pointing in the right direction, too many people start looking where they were never meant to look. This is why his most revealing speeches disappear. This is why his social media accounts were wiped from existence. It was never just about politics. It was about something deeper. The rulers of this world do not fear one man. They fear the awakening of the masses. They fear that if people start asking the right questions, the carefully constructed illusion will fall apart. They fear that if enough people wake up to the truth, their control will be shattered beyond repair. The suppression of truth extends far beyond Trump. It is a pattern repeated throughout history. The Gnostic texts, which spoke of a divine spark within every individual and warned of unseen rulers manipulating the world, were labeled heretical and removed from biblical canon. The Essenes, who lived during the time of Christ and possessed advanced spiritual knowledge, were hunted down, their teachings nearly erased. Nikola Tesla, who discovered revolutionary methods of free energy that would have made centralized power systems obsolete, had his research confiscated and buried. Time and time again, knowledge that could liberate humanity has been stolen, hidden, and erased. Even today, the same tactics are used. When whistleblowers reveal government secrets, they are silenced. When journalists uncover corruption, they mysteriously disappear or are discredited beyond repair. When researchers present evidence that contradicts the accepted narrative, they are labeled as conspiracy theorists, their work removed from public view. This is how they maintain control, not through outright oppression, but through the subtle erasure of inconvenient truths. But no matter how hard they try, knowledge cannot be suppressed forever. The more they attempt to erase, the more people begin to notice the gaps. The more they try to silence, the louder the questions become. The human spirit is wired for truth. Even when the official story is forced upon them, there are always those who feel that something is missing, that something doesn't add up. It is those individuals, the seekers, the questioners, the ones who refuse to accept what they are told without looking deeper, who ultimately break the cycle. This is why your awareness matters. This is why you must pay attention when certain messages disappear, when certain ideas are labeled as forbidden, when voices that once spoke freely are suddenly cut off. It is not because they are dangerous. It is because they are revealing something that the world was never supposed to know. When you see books being rewritten, when you see history being altered, when you see entire narratives shifting overnight, you must ask yourself, why? Who benefits from keeping this truth hidden? What is so powerful about this knowledge that it must be erased? The good news is that truth has a way of resurfacing. No matter how hard they try to bury it, no matter how many records they destroy, it always finds a way to return. It speaks through those who refuse to be silenced. It spreads through those who see beyond the illusion. And once it is seen, it cannot be unseen. So what will you do with this knowledge? Will you turn away, pretending not to notice? Or will you embrace the truth, even when it is uncomfortable? The choice is yours, but know this: every time you question, every time you seek, every time you refuse to accept their carefully crafted illusion, you weaken their grip. You step into your power. Comment, "They can't silence me," if you refuse to be controlled. How to decode hidden messages in public statements. Truth is often hidden in plain sight. It is spoken, written, and even broadcast to the world, yet only a few recognize it for what it truly is. Those who have eyes to see and ears to hear will understand that what appears to be a casual remark, a vague statement, or an offhand comment often carries a deeper meaning. This is not accidental. Those who have challenged the system, those who have attempted to awaken the masses, have learned that truth cannot always be spoken outright. It must be concealed within the noise, woven into words that appear simple to the untrained mind but are unmistakable to those who are awake. Donald Trump, like many before him, has made statements that seem, on the surface, to be political, off-the-cuff, or even reckless. But to those who pay attention, his words hold echoes of something greater, something ancient. He speaks of hidden rulers, of unseen forces controlling global events, of an awakening happening before our very eyes. These are not random phrases. They are intentional. They are signals meant for those who are ready to hear them. This method of communication is nothing new. For centuries, those who carried sacred knowledge had to mask it within symbols, allegories, and parables. Even in Scripture, the deepest truths were not openly stated but were instead encoded in ways that only those with spiritual discernment could understand. When Jesus spoke in parables, it was not because the truth was too complex. It was because only those who were truly seeking would grasp the deeper meaning. He made this clear when he said, "Unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God, but unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables." The pattern has always been the same. Truth is hidden not to obscure it, but to protect it from those who would seek to destroy it. This same method of coded communication is used today. Those in positions of influence who attempt to speak on forbidden topics understand that they cannot do so openly. They know the consequences of exposing too much too soon. They know that if they reveal the full scope of the deception, they will be silenced, erased, or discredited beyond repair. So instead, they leave breadcrumbs. They drop hints. They speak in a language that only the awakened will recognize. When Trump speaks of a rigged system, he is not merely referring to political corruption. He is pointing to something far deeper, a system that has been designed to keep people in ignorance, to control their perceptions, to limit their understanding of the true nature of the world. When he mentions the deep state, he is not just talking about government bureaucracy. He is referencing an unseen power structure that has existed for centuries, shaping events from behind the curtain. When he warns of forces working against the people, he is echoing the warnings found in suppressed scriptures, the same warnings that have been erased from history, rewritten, or hidden away in secret archives. Decoding these messages requires more than just listening. It requires discernment. It requires an understanding that words are often chosen carefully, that the full meaning is often veiled, and that those who speak these truths do so with great risk. This is why many of the most important statements in history have been dismissed, misinterpreted, or outright ignored. It is why those who have attempted to reveal the hidden rulers of this world have been ridiculed, exiled, or even eliminated. Consider the prophecies that have spoken of a time when deception would be exposed, when hidden knowledge would return, when the world would be forced to see what has been kept in the shadows. We are in that time now. The signs are all around us. Messages that would have been buried just a decade ago are now reaching millions. Truths that were once whispered in secret are now being spoken in the open. The veil is lifting, and those who are ready to see beyond the illusion are finding the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. But with this awakening comes a challenge. The forces that have kept the world asleep for so long will not surrender easily. They will distort the messages. They will attack the messengers. They will create confusion, division, and distractions in an attempt to pull people back into ignorance. This is why discernment is so crucial. It is not enough to hear the words, you must understand the intent behind them. You must recognize when truth is being spoken in a way that is meant to bypass the censors, to slip through the cracks of the controlled narrative. Comment, I am ready, if you are prepared to see beyond the surface. Everything has been leading to this final revelation. What does this mean for you? And how can you step into your divine mission? What this means for your spiritual journey? If you are here watching this, it is not by accident. You were meant to find this message. There are moments in life when the veil lifts, when something inside of you stirs, when you feel the weight of a truth that has been calling you all along. Perhaps you have felt it before. A quiet knowing, an unshakable feeling that there is more to this existence than what you were told. Maybe you have sensed that the world is not as it seems, that there are hidden layers beneath the surface, and that something within you is pulling you toward a greater understanding. This moment is not random. It is part of your awakening. The truth has always been available, but only for those who seek it. This has been the case throughout history. Knowledge has never been truly lost, only concealed, waiting for those who are ready to receive it. The deception that has kept humanity in darkness has always relied on distraction, on fear, on keeping people too preoccupied with the struggles of daily life to ever question what lies beyond. But something has changed. The illusion is beginning to crack. More and more people are waking up to the realization that the reality they were given is not the full picture. They are questioning, searching, yearning for something real. And if you are feeling this pull, it means you are one of them. But awakening is not easy. It is not a moment of comfort. It is a moment of disruption. It is the realization that much of what you believe to be true was carefully constructed to keep you in place. It is the unsettling awareness that the world you thought you knew was designed to keep you asleep. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This is the challenge of awakening. The more truth you uncover, the more you must confront the lies you once accepted. The more you realize how deep the deception runs, the more you may feel isolated from those who still believe in it. You may find that people around you do not understand what you are experiencing. Friends and family may resist your new perspective. They may tell you that you are imagining things, that you are reading too much into what is happening, that you should stop questioning and simply accept life as it is. But deep down, you know that you cannot go back. The illusion no longer satisfies you. The old way of seeing things no longer feels real. The truth is out in the open, but only the awakened will see it. If this message spoke to you, make sure you subscribe for more prophetic insights, divine wisdom, and hidden revelations. Comment, "The truth is mine," if you claim this knowledge today.